take to be a student of management in India today? What is it about management studies that attracts people of year after year across India? Why are students so keen on studying management, and where are so many management students going? Well, that's what we're trying to understand at MDI in Gurgaon today. Let me start by asking you, what is it about management that, were you sorted in your head for a long time that this is what I want to do?
Well, no, I initially wasn't sorted in my head as to what I wanted to do. It's like people generate their thoughts when they are into the bachelor's of education, like be it engineering or non-engineering fields, and then they realize what they want to do. I mean, as there's a famous saying, right? If you want to change something in the 20th century, be a lawyer. If you want to change something in the 21st, be an MBA. So I guess probably that applied for me.
Right. And how much of it really, if I could ask you there, how much of it has to do with, say, peer pressure or what people are doing around you? Does that sort of really figure, you think, not just in your case, but say the world around you?
Maybe that was the in thing that that the graduation only doesn't help, and MBA is one ladder that takes you, a long distance. So that could be a reason which creates the peer pressure and people opt for it. But not generally. There are people who feel that there are some gaps which needs to be plugged in, and that's where MBA comes in and helps you develop that required skill set to grow.
Right. What is the one thing that you're hoping that an MBA is going to give you that perhaps something else would not?
Maybe an edge over what I wanted to do, like it be giving me more of awareness about the outside world, the knowledge and the learnings that I require to gel up with the outside world and to come out with the flying colors.
What's the flip side?
The flip side maybe. Not exactly the flip side, because either two ways can be. You just enter into the corporate world, gain the experience and reach out to the heights, or you learn about what exactly an organization needs from you and then probably enter it. So maybe that MBA is an edge over it. It gives us that part.
Right. Is everyone sort of prepared for the blood, sweat and tears that it eventually takes, especially in sort of like in the day and age that we live in? There are no guarantees, we just sort of, the economies, it's unpredictable. Everything is unpredictable. I'm sure as students of management, you know that far better than the rest of us. But sort of, do you sort of spend, how much time do you really spend worrying about what next? Especially given the last couple of years, or is that not a problem?
Personally, what I've learned in the past 1 year is that it doesn't really help to worry, because you really never know what is going to happen, and there are things that are outside your control. So there are too many variables. You can just take into account the variables that are under your control and work on them. So worrying, in my opinion, doesn't help.
In fact, that of course is a life lesson that I think students from outside MBA should also keep in mind, that worrying doesn't help. I just wish it was so simple. You made it sound so easy, but how much talk sort of goes on in your campus or in the hostels, in the canteens or cafes, on placements, on worrying about kya hoga?
Well, the main purpose of coming here, as it is said, is placements. But then it all depends from person to person, whether he or she is here for the learning, or whether he or she is here for the money, or whatever it is. So it's all subjective, what you are here for. So that's what I think.
But is it possible, say, in your opinion, to strike that balance between the learning and the money? I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of luck that goes into it, which is why, like she said very articulately, it doesn't help to worry. But
frankly, we do not have much time to worry about. We do not have much time to worry about those things. But yeah, but at the end of the day, I think an MBA is as good as you are. So whatever you want to pursue in your life, you can pursue. And I think MBA gives an edge. Definitely gives you an edge over that.
Okay, this is something I've been trying to understand, because when I asked that question, I was pretty sure that gives you an edge would come up. And I frankly have just trying to understand, what does it mean? Like, what does it mean? How does it give you, like, how do you define it? Is it tangible, intangible? What is it? Is it what gives you an edge? A better job, a better remuneration?
Well, it's like a free, it's not like a free ticket to Bollywood or something like that. But yeah, something on the lines of that, you get to network more with proper alumni. We have many respected alumni all over the world. So that definitely helps.
I believe MBA is full of opportunities. So taking a personal note, so while I was working with a company at a, say, 40,000 package, 3 months down the line when I joined, I again got a internship at about 50,000. So there are a lot of opportunities here in MBA, opportunities to do case studies, opportunities to interact with the industry through live projects, and then through summer internships and placements. So yes, that is the edge that we get. There is learning, definitely. There is that alumni network, definitely. There is the fast tracking that we're required to do in the industry that we're made to do in these 2 years. So that is the kind of edge that differentiates an MBA from a non-MBA.
Talking about that edge, it's like we get into a league of people who are actually the change masters. We play a huge role driving the population of this country to the right path. That's what I feel is the edge.
So, if you're aspiring to come to an MBA course, I'll tell you, I've had a couple of years work ex in an organization before I joined this. So, the last year I've spent here, I've learned quite a lot. I'd say I've learned far more than I'd learned in those 2 years in my organization before. The kind of course structure, not just specific to our college, any MBA college that would provide, in the first year you'd cover classes such as law. You'll cover classes from marketing to finance to operations. So in all the broad spectrum of whatever is happening, you get a big understanding of that. Right. Definitely the point of alumni, the point of the brand value of your institute comes into picture. But when you leave here, the rich experience that you have, it's all an amalgamation of all of these put together. Right. These clubs do help. They give us life experience.
Are all these things some, sort of things that you realized only after getting in, or sort of, because all those getting in, like the conversations going so far, most people only get in with that tiny thing in mind that this is going to be that, like that, I'm the next CEO or whatever, the next big thing. Satya Nadella, move aside. I'm here to stay, whether I'm a tech guy or not. But you said something that's quite interesting. You said that what I learned studying management is perhaps has given me more than my work experience. And I've always been told, even when I was sort of where you are, figuring out what to do, or maybe just a step before, that nothing counts for work experience, and work experience is king, and you got to go get your hands dirty. Is that something that you agree with?
Okay, I might be the right person to answer this because I'm pursuing human resources here. I see. Okay. So when you look at a person holistically, on-the-job learning is just 70% of what your complete learning is.
Just
so
70%?
I mean, 70% is the big amount, but then the remaining 30 comes from your other experiences. So learning programs are required to make the entire person a holistic manager here in this case, or if you're pursuing some other career. So even there, some amount of basic learning, basic fundamentals have to be clear, which can then be adequately applied on the job. So
is it I don't know, easier said than done? Or is it possible? Does it all sort of sound very, right? But what for you was the biggest challenge?
So I'll try to relate to what was earlier being discussed here. So if you're talking about the job, we ourselves are balancing academics, we ourselves are running clubs, we ourselves are talking to industry people, we ourselves are doing case studies for the industry people. So it's actually more of what we're going to do in this industry 2 years down the line. So that is what brings out the better part in us. So that is what is the practical learning or the practical experience. So yes, 2 years down the line, we would be doing that stuff, but we're doing something more than what we're required to do.
There's something very different about a B school life. There's something very different about the culture that is present in a B school. We tend to work in the end 16, 17 hours a day, but then in the end we tend to enjoy it. We tend to remember this as one of the best times of our lives. Plus, I think I would also like to add to his point by saying that while in MDI, we tend to interact with industry not just on an yearly or quarterly, not just on an yearly basis, we also tend to interact with them based on live projects. We visit them, they give us some live projects. So we in continuous interaction with them.
Right. So we figured it's hard work, of course, like it is with most courses. It's long days, 16, 17-hour days, as someone said. But we are slipping into a quick break now. But does this kind of work hours really mean that it's all work and no play? We're going to figure that out after a quick break.